The reason we're having this conversation is not just because we want to have it, and it's not just because people are having it. It's simply to the entire goal is to make available to everyone the required knowledge and tools to be able to scale in our career, basically, right? Because I believe if people know better, people will do better. That's what I believe. I believe if you know better, you do better. And because I know everyone is not an island of knowledge, so that's the reason I try to look out for people who have the knowledge and come and share that with us. And we had an amazing session, the first two sessions, where we had an AGO and we have this coaching. And I really hope you guys took notes and are implementing the notes you've taken. I really hope you guys did because the the result of the impact, how to measure the impact of any community or any knowledge is the result it has in the lives of those who have heard it, right? So, a knowledge is impactful when there's results in the lives of those who have heard it. That's how to measure the impact of a result of a knowledge. And the impact of a community is the lives of members of the community, right? Yeah, so my interest and my goal is in the lives of everybody, right? So that's the basic reason why we're doing this. To avail us the knowledge, right? And because some of us started at a time when knowledge was relatively sparse, a bit sparse. At the time when I started, knowledge was very sparse. So that way you had to mostly, it's either you have somebody physically, work with someone physically to learn, or you have to learn on your own. And trust me, learning on your own takes time. You would consume a lot of time learning on your own. So that's the benefit of having to learn from people who have learned. Because typically, whatever, if someone takes 3 years to learn something on his own, when you learn from the person, you can shorten that 3 years down at 3 weeks. That's because you know how it is done faster, you know the mistakes to look out for, you know how to basically you have what it takes to move from one point to the other, rather than having to learn, make mistakes, stand up, learn, and all that stuff. So that's the essence of this conversation. The youth avail us the knowledge, and the accountability part is going to come much later. Right now, to make the knowledge available to you guys. All right. So once again, thank you for coming. Like we did in our previous classes, previous conversations. I'd like the questions to come from you guys, right? I want to make sure a lot of your concerns are covered. And because I can't know all your concerns, that is what you guys, right? But I also have questions of my own, but your questions take more priority to my question because this conversation is for us or and I want everyone needs met. So the essence of tonight's conversation is there's a problem I've noticed among designers, and it's the fact that most designers work till they drop. What I mean by that is we have designers who don't know how to stop working, like literally. There are designers who don't know how to stop working. I've been there myself, where you don't know how to stop working. By that, I mean you're working Sunday to Sunday, right? You're working to midnight. You're working to the midnight every single day. Now, this is not for a period of time. Oh, maybe work is demand at this period, right? That's understandable. But we have designers who work into midnight, Sunday to Sunday, around the year. There's no time for break, no time for family. There are designers who don't have time to check on their friends because they're working. They don't have time to, if they're Christian here, there are designers who don't have time to pray, time for their devotional life because they're working. And okay, I think Juma is a Muslim. I don't know any Muslim we have, but I know Muslims also have their times of prayer. So now imagine you are a Muslim and you should prioritize your work above your time of prayer, right? You prioritize work above relating with others. There are even designers that sleep late, they wake up very early, and when they wake up, there's this meme that we've seen all about Instagram where they show designers' life, where designers go from laptop to bed, from bed to laptop, and all that stuff. It sounds like a flex, but it's not. It is actually a silent killer in design. Well, so that's exactly what we're trying to tackle tonight. The title of our conversation tonight is still work hard, play hard. It's to help you find the balance between work and social life. That is that's the base of how to be able to have a social life along with your work life. Now, the balance might not be 50-50. To a lot of people, the balance will not be 50-50. But if it's a 70-30 balance, have a provision for social life. You need to have provision to be able to live work and experience it, enjoy life. There's a reason it's called life. You should be able to live work and live life. If you don't work so hard that you forget to live. That's the essence of tonight's conversation. That conversation is going to help you find the balance between work and life. It's going to be find the balance between work and social life. Before I call our speaker up, now this question is for you guys. How many of you guys in the past today's Monday, from last Monday to yesterday, how many people have spent the total hours, a total number of 8 hours, either with your friend or your family? Like you spent it with them, no distraction. 8 hours in 7 days. Anybody? Like we need honest answers here. If you did not do it, you can type in the comment you did not do it. If you did it, please let us know you did it. Like you spent 8 hours with your family or friends or do something else aside work. Okay, we have one person. No, no, I'm not shading anybody. I'm just letting you see that working round the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 30, 31 days a month, 52 weeks a year is not a flex. You think that, oh, like Sunday night I'm working. I don't like really not a flex, right? Um so I really, really hope from tonight. And note, there are some people amongst you who the stage you are in or the state you are in, you would not be able to have any time, right? Because what is that thing? There's something they call, I've forgotten that language. There's something they call something like that. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there's a season in your life where you have to point as much hours into work as you can. However, no matter the amount of hours you need to pour, you need to find time to socialize. You need time to socialize. You need time to meet people. And that problem designers have is most designers don't have physical friends. In fact, most designers don't have genuine virtual friends. You belong in the community, you guys are chit chatting, bantering, and all that stuff. But none of them are your actual friends. None of them can check up on you when you're not online. None of them, even when you're online, none of them checks up on you maybe once a week or twice a week. It's just banter, and that is the end of it. So it's not a question of how many communities you belong to. It's not a question of how many contacts you have. It's a question of how good is your social life, how many friends you have, how many people do you spend time with, in how many people's life do you invest a couple of times, and how many people invest also in yours. So I think I've said enough, right? Right now I'm going to allow our speaker take the floor. So that is for our speaker, is not for me. So we have Emmanuel Wodundu with us. Yes, he's a product designer, he's a product manager, he's a what's that one again? President, product manager. He's a business owner. Yeah, he's a business owner. Aside being a designer, he runs a business actually. He's an entrepreneur. So he's a designpreneur, like they will say, an entrepreneur. And he's been in design space for a couple of years. And just like our previous speakers, the reason I picked Noel, I thought it was Revo. The reason I picked him is that I've noticed he has a pattern of enjoying life. Like, and he's somebody who I know has a balanced life between work and social life. He's married, by the way. He spends ample time with his wife. That one I know, and I've seen pictures. He spends time good, and all of this, he still has enough time to invest in work. So that is, so he is more than qualified to be the person we picked us tonight. Welcome, Noel.
Thank you, Toby. Confirm you can hear me, please.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you
All
so
right.
much for having me.
I'm going to ask my question, and you have the floor to share. So, the first question is now, person, a designer, to have a social life? And I think that's my first question. How important is it for a designer to have a social life?
Okay, thank you. To answer that question, how important is it? Is as important as eating, right? I mean, it's not just designers, it's generally for everybody. But it seems like in the creative space, there's a whole lot of um, we've not really talked more about balancing. If at some point you can't hear me, just let me know. We've not talked a lot about balancing work and life. All right. It's going to come to a point where you can't work anymore. What do you do after that? You have to start thinking about these things. So it's a very vital topic. It's a very important topic. I know what people tell you now is get locked in for 20 hours, locked in for 30 hours. What they are not telling you is they are not telling you do that for 20 hours straight. You have 24 hours, you're locking in for 20 hours. What do you do for 4 hours? You still have to sleep, you still have to eat, right? So what they are trying to tell you is yes, get locked in as much as you can, but it doesn't mean it's a straight thing. It's something you can break into different hours. So okay, you want to spend the whole 8 hours working, that's fine by you. And that's why in corporate settings, they have like a break time of 1 hour. All right. So if you say you want to do 10 hours a day, it doesn't mean you should just sit on your workspace for 10 good hours. In fact, this is why most people have workspace, because they want to know that if I'm on my workspace, I'm working. If I'm out of my workspace, I'm not working. And that was the kind of culture that I imbibed, and it has helped me. So yes, work-life balance is absolutely very important to everybody, including especially creatives, because our mind works best when we are not when we are keeping it at rest. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much for that response. And so 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 having to know the importance of having a social life. Now, I want my next question is now. Let me just say this again. In case you have any questions, please you can signify. You can use the hand feature of the Google Meet. You can use the raise hand, so I'll call you. Now, how important is having a social life to our creativity as designers? You let us see how it's important for people to have it. So you talk about people having workspaces. You should have a defined space, either in their rooms, in their house, where they know if I'm here, I'm working. If I'm not here, I'm not working. Right. So now, how important is that social life? How important is it to our creativity? Is it as important to us, but does it impact our creativity, or how does it impact our creativity as designers? Did anybody hear me?
Oh, sorry, I'm muted. That's why I'm muted. I was talking about it. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right. So there was something that was happening to me, and I think it happens to everybody, right? So the way our brain functions, I mean, you can research about it. The way the brain functions, it works almost 247, right? So whether you're doing something, your brain is working. Whether you're sleeping, your brain is working. In fact, that's why you dream, because the dream doesn't come from an empty head; it comes from your brain, right? So there was something that was happening to me. That was like 2, 3 years ago. I was a workaholic, and when I mean workaholic, I was a workaholic that people think I don't even have a social life, and honestly, I didn't have it. But then something keeps happening. Each time I go to work, and then I was working on site, and I come back, I actually sleep for hours. I could sleep for 4, 6 hours. But you know the funny part? If I wake up, I get more tired than I sleep. And I know it's happening to a whole lot of persons here. And we cannot attest to that fact. You get so tired and you start seeing yourself, but you just had a good nap. Now, this tells you that rest in itself, right? It's not about sleep. But we'll come back to that. Now, how does being social help our creative life? Now, first of all, apologies to the Muslim here. I'm a Christian. And one thing I tell myself is God is a creative. God is a designer. I mean, look at your nose in the first place. Look at your 2 ears. Imagine you have one ear. How would that look like? Right? So most times I see social engagement as a way of being so creative. I mean, get into, yes, we have the internet where you do the social communication, but if you've ever had real life conversation with people, it doesn't really have to be about what you do, just general conversation. You will see that you come back feeling a bit refreshed than before. Now, the internet has a whole lot of information to feed you with, but when you go out, you see specific information that will be useful to you. In fact, your mind filter turns on automatically to choose the one that you want and the one that you don't want. I'm not saying don't socialize on the internet. It's one of the things I'm going to talk about maybe within my talk. But social life as a creator is as impactful, right, as anything else. The internet works, but go out there. When they say go out and touch grass, they are not saying it literally. But if you can do it literally, why not? Sometimes it's the environment that can actually impact you creatively. You could just go out and see something that really makes sense and it solves. I mean, it has happened to me severally. Like, go out, you see something, you're trying to solve a problem, you go out, you just see a tree, you see a house, and it just gives you an idea of what you want to do. So it is very, very important to our creative life. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So okay. So now that you've spoken about how important is strategic life, so you spoke about sometimes we get when we go out we get specific information and our mind is able to decide which bit of water to think and how I think you ended with how you can get ideas just by going out and enjoying life. So now, having understood the importance of social life to designers, and also having understood the importance of social life to designers' creativity. Now, at what stage, right? Now, I'm asking this question because I've seen this thing a lot where people always say to upcoming designers, upcoming in any field, but since of people designers here, I'm going to limit it to designers. Upcoming designers need to put in a lot of hours, work, practice, learn, practice, that metric that they said is what will make us better. So you learn, you practice, you learn, you practice. And when I'm speaking to upcoming designers, newbie, like you said in your first response, not in a certain amount of hours. So is there a certain period in a person's life where someone needs a social life? So at
Okay,
what
so
point is
that's,
someone okay?
yeah, go ahead. You start at some point as well.
Okay, so at what point in a designer's life, so the designer is social life, is it from the beginning or is there a point the designer gets to and the need it also at what point does the designer, whether newbie, mid level or senior, at what point is someone need a social life?
All right. So first of all, let me even talk about this in a larger scale, right? This answer might be a bit long. So first of all, you need to understand that design is a skill. And because it's a skill, is a career. All right. So say you work, we all come online and say, okay, if I work in a bank, for example, and I leave the office and my boss calls me around 1 a.m., right, to maybe come and fix the ATM cash. Let's be honest, are we going to do that? The answer is no. All right, the answer is no. But I think we designers, we need to start seeing our design as a career. We need to start seeing like, okay, we went to school to study these things. Most of us studied for 6 months. Most of us, we did it for 1 year. Some people went to boot camp for 1 month. It doesn't really matter. It's still a career. And how do you treat careers? You don't, of course, as newbies, as designer, whatever level you are, you always need to learn. Which is why even when you were in the university, you don't have class 12 to 12. There are times, there are days that you'll be free. There are days you have class 2 hours a day. There are days you have class 4 hours a day. Those things are intentionally programmed. And it's the same thing if you use that kind of method into your design career. So if you say you went to school for 4 years, you studied for, let's say in a semester, you studied for like 2-3 months, and then the school gives you like 1-2 weeks to refresh yourself and then come for exam. So see that like how you see your design career. So even when they say spend lots of time practicing, spend lots of time learning, what you should be asking yourself is it all the time? We have 24 hours, and honestly, if you look at it, a lot of things are happening in 24 hours that you think is not enough. But the honest truth is that it's enough. It depends on how you break these things down. All right. So work-life balance, or as a designer, if you're going to put work and your life like on a balance scale, you need to start looking for a balance. You need to start looking for a time for work and a time for socialization or anything else, not just socialization, things, books, and all of that, right? I'm a growth focused product designer, which means I'm not just there to do product for you, right? I'm looking at your growth. But then, as a newbie, you're going to lock in, you're going to do this. Do you do it 24 hours? The answer is no. And why? Because the 24 hours you've been doing, what have you gotten? Right? I'm going to tell you one thing for sure. Word of mouth is the highest form of publicity. In fact, it's the highest form of knowing what you do. Yes, the internet is there, but there are millions of people. And before your head, it takes a lot. And that's why we are spending so much time on that. Right? You are spending so much time on screens. We are spending so much time on information. And then we get overloaded. And when you get overloaded, you feel this FOMO, fear of missing out, and then you try to catch up and catch up and catch up. That's where you pause and ask yourself, is this what I'm going to be doing? Right? Word of mouth is there. And how do you do word of mouth? You can't do word of mouth from the comfort of your home. So even as juniors, as junior designer, mid-level, senior, it is very important. Even if you're going to spend so much time, I'm not talking down on learning and training and all of that, but allocate time to it, to say, okay, create a calendar, thank God for ChatGPT, tell it what you want to learn, tell it to give you a specific hours that you want to learn this, and make sure that the hours that you were given, you actually do learn it. Tutorials on YouTube, how many hours a day? I only know of a tutorial that is about an hour plus. So if you spend 2-3 hours on learning one particular thing, that's enough. But you have 24 hours. So how are you doing it? Right? So yes, it's important to spend so many hours or so much time on learning a skill or improving your skill. But breaking those time into sections is what's very important. And I think that's where we are missing the point. So yeah, that's my take on that.
So, thank you for. I like how you ended. Breaking your 24 hours into sections. So, because typically you can't work around the clock. I think medically, right? I have to confirm this fact, but I think medically, the highest a person can go without sleeping is 3 days. Anything after 3 days and be fatal. But fatal, like my means can lead to death. Anything after 2 hours, I think after that is fatal. But I have to confirm that fact. So, typically you can't work 24 hours. You can't work around the clock, right? So this question is going to branch to people who work, those who work on site, and those who work remote, right? And as somebody who has worked on site yourself and who is now working remote, how can a designer have a social life? For those that work remote, like someone like me, I work remote. I worked remote for the longest. The last on-site job I got was I think that was 2022. Even then, the rest of the week, one day, a week, only Mondays. Thursday, Fridays, I was at the house. Yeah, so I literally saw the difference because I had more friends. There's someone I'm working with now. It's a partnership. I met her at at the office I used to work. Remember I go in only on Monday, so I'm there Monday from 8 to 5 p.m. So not Monday to next Monday. I met her then. Then when I left the company, I think a couple of months after she left the company, she started her own. She reached out to me, and we've been working since then. The company clocked 2 years last year, and we were working it even before she started her company, right? And I can count to the couple of persons who are there after the another some of the friends I have came from that company I work physically. So for designers who work on site and for designers who work remote, how can they have a social life? And I'm asking because I know people who they work in an office, but they don't have any friend in that office. Right? There's this invisible mindset where you go in, their mindset is just I go in, I do my job, I get out, life is simple, I don't want drama, and all that mindset. So how can somebody working night if I'm working on site and somebody working remote, and how can either of them feel the social life? How can the person have social life?
Okay, so I always advise techies, not just designers, right? If you can, if you can, at some point in your career, if you can, work on site or work hybrid. Now, this helped me a whole lot. I'm partly introvert and I'm partly extrovert, depending on the situation and the environment. But when I started working as a designer, my first job was remote, right? It was remote, and then the later on I was moved from an intern to full time. Then I started doing hybrid. So I was coming to the office some days, and I won't come. So and just like you said, I was coming, but I would disappear immediately after work. But then I discovered something. If I keep doing this, it's going to affect my workflow. Now, imagine, imagine, Lydia, I see you. So imagine you come to work and then you have to like ask somebody for help because you actually need help with a thing. But because you've not developed that social culture, you don't even know how to relate. Some of us, when we go out, like we do design hangouts here and there. But when we attend design hangout, I discovered that even the designers, they find it hard to like talk to each other. Everybody wants to be. I mean, I've attended the design hangout and everybody brought a laptop. I'm like, why? What's the laptop for? To snap picture or take selfies? Do you get? Drop it at home. You will not die. And it was a Saturday. So what I'm saying is, everyone should find a time to work hybrid or full time on site. There's no way you can do that and you not talk to someone. Even if you are an introvert, at some point you will need help. You will reach out. Don't go to the house and send mail. Reach out to this person personally. Now, I have one issue. It's a very challenging issue currently in my life. If my phone ring, I don't like talking to people. As bad as social as I am, right? Toby might not know this aspect of me, but we talk. As social as I am, I don't like talking to people. If a conversation stays more than 2 minutes, I will find an escape route and I will run away. I'll just look for something. Maybe someone is call. I'll just pretend someone is calling me and then. But I discovered this is a problem. I call it a problem because I'm trying to solve it, right? And now that I'm trying to solve it, I'm beginning to interface more with people that can actually help me. Now, design is grounded around collaboration, and collaboration doesn't just happen online. In fact, the biggest type of collaboration is offline. Let's be honest, it's offline. Most of the jobs you get jobs online, but if you come offline, that's where the money is, and that's why you see that most of the top designers that we know, right, a huge percentage of them are not on social media as much as you think. You see them attending one conference here, one community event here. They are not just attending for attending sake. They want to bond. I can mention one particular person. He's good at this. His name is Zara. And I know we all know him, Isaac Zara. Isaac Zara used to be an introvert. I know him very well. But then he had to learn it. Now he goes out, like if he comes out, he must talk about what he does. He barely posts on Twitter. I'm not saying don't be active on Twitter. What I'm saying is this: if you work hybrid or on site, it gives you more privilege. If you can, actually, it gives you more privilege to build your social life. So even when you now go back to working full remote, you still know that there is a part of you that yearns for going out. I currently work remotely, right? But sometimes I just take break off my workspace. If I have to move my workspace from my room to another room entirely. So once I leave that room, I'm no longer. I know that my laptop, I'm not seeing it. My monitor, I'm not seeing it. If I'm not seeing it, it means I'm not working. If you send me a message, I'm so lazy to even stand up from where I will be. Right. So for remote workers, it is if you've been working remote for a long time, it might be difficult for you at first. And this is why I encourage communities around your area. So design community, whatever community you want to be belong to. When they call for this community meetups and all that, it is a time to bond. It's a time to go out. Sometimes come out, go outside. Just walk out of your compound. Know your neighbors. The last place I was staying, that was 2 years ago before I got married. We were 14 flats, and I could tell you that I only know the names of two of my neighbors. And how did I know their name? One was by mistake. When they did our prepaid meter, I accidentally recharged his meter instead of my own, and that's how I knew his name. The second one was because I was given a document to give to the person, and that's how I knew their names. The remaining 11, I don't know. I didn't know their names till I left that place. I felt bad after, but when I got married, I tried to bond because you don't know where your next money is, and that's the honest truth. So if you're working remote, try to belong to communities that are engaging. All right, look for people in your state in that community. You guys can just meet up, have talks, have a few gist here and there that does not even relate to what you're doing. Bankers do this. Bankers do it. Sometimes on Friday you go to bank, you see they are not wearing corporate. Sometimes they do like a party, a mini party. The company I was working for them on site, we were doing that every Friday. We call it tech and chill. Once it's 12, close your laptop. You are not working again. Like we come together, we play games. It's just a time to bond. It just makes you relax for the week. All right. I think I've said a lot on that area.
All right. So, talking about that, I think I shared this with the community to a couple of guys. First time is I was in Kenya, and then there was an event that took place. I went there with my laptop. I remember vividly, I was working on a project. It was a popular project though. It was a coffee brand, right? I sat down at the event, and then I had this attitude then where I can go to events, right? Once the event ends, like the moment it ends, I repeat I'm going home. If I go to event and not meet anybody. So we started this event, and this guy walked up to me. I was like, you like what you're doing, and he started talking to me. In my mind, I'm like, oh, I beg, just do it with me. Like then I was so I was not having people around. But this guy still gives me I was not appreciating the project, talking about brand design. I mean, I'm like, oh, like talk with him, want to talk with yes. And then I didn't even ask like it was so bad. I didn't even ask his name. So I think he tried to converse me, but because I was making totally responsive, he left. So the next time I would see him was I think a couple of months after. A couple of months after we met again, and this time, okay, look, I think next time we'll have another conversation was few months before he launched with the meeting Mike. That was the clubhouse, like that was the project that gave him that big grade. It was a couple of months before then we had a chance to reconnect again. And see, man, like at that point in time, it had gotten I would not say late because we still connected a bit, but imagine what it would have been if I had actually been receptive the first time we met in 2019. Before that, So yeah, I have let me say felt the pain of and I'm someone that usually I really do not hate it. But I before now I don't like going out. For a couple of years when I started seeing the dangers of this, I started I started seeing social life meet people. It was then I had to it was when I had to take a 180 or 180 turn. I know stories of people who their social life was mental. Right? I hear stories of someone went for an event, he spoke to the friends, introduced himself, said what he did, next day got a call, and boom, that was it. Or somebody who spoke to someone and somebody referred him. Like there was a guy who the person I said he didn't know him. But he didn't know it was somebody he met at an event, so the person was he did. That person had someone who referred someone and he just told him, oh, I met this guy somewhere, see his contact, reach out to him. And that was the time I've met groups of people who meeting people made them. And even virtually, right? There's a people in this community that not in their system. I only know them virtually and we've gone from all this virtual contact to having a form of friendship, right? And I've seen the benefits of that. So that was what it was after I took a turn and I said that okay, intentionally I'm going to even funny enough, when I changed my church, one of the things I told my wife was okay, this is what I'm going one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to meet people physically, right? So yeah. So what you shared, so I've been there where I'm not having it. So I've seen the bad effects of or negative effects of the resultant effects of not having a social life. So now that would lead me to ask, and because I've gone through the most longest of my life, I know how hard it was, how hard it is. So thank you for that tip. Now, now there are some designers also who have the social, but you don't know where to go in life, right? Like there are people who they go to events, they meet people, but the people they meet, like they only meet people for like I use the word you meet people for meet people sake. Like I know people who are outgoing, they're extroverts, they spend a lot in parties, but it's like everybody they met is like okay, you met this person, so what's up, nothing and all that stuff. So how does where do people now this for people who are overly social. Let me go over to the people who are extroverts, who like many people. Where do they draw the line? And how we make the most use of the social life we have. So for example, someone goes out, meet someone, gets a contract, you guys cook, you guys laugh, and the event has ended or the meetup has ended, you're back in your house. How do we make the best use of and even aside meeting people, those of just going out, just doing a search house or going out, going to so basically how do we make the best use of the social life that we have? Because now we know the importance to ourselves, we know the importance to our creativity, we know for on-site and remote workers, we've known how we can get a socialize. So how do we make the best use of it? Now that we've learned it, how do we put it to practical use? That's like the summary of the entire question I'm asking.
All right. So, to best answer that question, it comes down to your level of networking, right? So when I'm attending any event or I'm going out that has to do with crowd of different people, I always have this thing in my head, the kind of people I want to connect to. So at this stage of my life, or you that is going out at the stage you are in now, what kind of network do you need? Do you need upward, sidewards, or downwards? So if I'm somebody that has a design school, for example, of course, I'm going to be looking at networking with people that are upwards and downwards, which means downwards meaning people that I can groom, people I can train. Upward meaning getting mentors and teachers that can train these people. All right. Now, if I'm somebody that is looking at upping my career or upgrading my skill, I will look at sidewards and upwards, because sideward means people that are doing the same thing as I'm doing, but they might have a different approach to doing that thing. Then upwards meaning people that have gone beyond me and are doing better. But there is this mistake of people just attending events, networking with any and everybody. That's good. I mean, talk to people, like I said. But then you need to have a target on why you're there. What kind of network are you trying to build? This is what will now help you to tailor the kind of people you now relate with in terms of, okay, now I'm building a social life. The kind of people you now have in your circle, all right, which will now determine what you get from them. So if you're going just because they say, okay, let's go and have a social life, and then you go there, you get everybody's contact, and then you come back to your share, you're like, oh, what is it? And then you just relax. Then you've not even achieved anything. That's just like wasting your time, right? So for every time you go out, just take it that, okay, I'm going out to relax. If it's to relax, fine, go, relax, come back. That's okay. If you're going out to network, I'm going out to network. Make sure you have targeted kind of people that you want to network with. Don't just go randomly and come back randomly. Else you just waste your transport. So you have to have a target. If I'm going out to say, okay, I've worked enough today, I just want to go out, I just want to take a walk, right? I want to go to the gym, I want to go to maybe go to an ice cream spot, lick ice cream, and then calm my head and all. Then that'll just be your target, and you do that and come back. But if you start overthinking it, that's where there's a problem. All right. But I think that really answers the question. So you need to have a target.
Thanks for that. So I hope we all listen. So the idea of networking upwards, downwards, sideways. And I've said it in the community before that you need to make friends with people who are above you, the people who are on the level, or people who are below, right? And I think I've spoken about the importance of these three levels of friendship. Literally, and it's very important. So when you go out, I'm not going to say if you do go out. When you go out, when you take like when you meet people, have a target. Like our teacher said, have a target of the kind of people you want. Yes, there's a room for introduce yourself to everybody. As much as you can, tell them what you do. Yes, speaking to people, but also be intentional about the kind of people you want to meet. Because I don't know. Okay, I know almost everybody here, like, people, everybody, almost every follows you do. Like that was like his name was like a buzz of design for a while. But, right? He's still big right now. You know, they follow a lot of all those white guys, Allopitas and the rest of them. Then a lot of them are African designers, and you see that they attend events, they speak at events, they are attendees at events, at those design, figure for business, figure for business. At those design and the rest of them. And so when you go to that kind of event, even the ones that happen in Nigeria, or whatever the event happens around which in the crowd, when you go attend, so like you all said, you're thinking about the kind of people you want to be. Okay, what are you looking for, right? Who are you looking for? What kind of people are you hoping to meet? So that will now drive how you will now drive the kind of people you really focus on trying to meet. Okay, so it's even though there's a place of introducing yourself to everybody, right? It's not just talking to everybody, it's about the quality and the personality of the people. And I'm saying this here because I know designers because people really strong. And I know there are several excuses for this which sometimes are viable, but I don't designers for consistency. And it's ridiculous because if there's no problem for the day here and it's not good, at least it must be at least that it must be right. And I know people are working in offices where because I used to work in an office. I was working for one design industry in Lagos. That was 2008. And I was only designer. I was only designer and we had about 15 clients. We worked with like physically. And the thing of Peter, the guy gave me how many hours did I get off? So I think I had to fight the people before. Yeah, like it was fight. It was bigger blue and home. Like only the people off. And it was painful listening down at other people, enjoy Christmas, family, friends, because relax, even if just playing games with the friends, or just hanging out, just playing for ice cream, for me and here. That day, because you work with it. And the first time you had, when I was working at home, Black Christmas, holidays are their peak period. So holidays are the days we New Year in year. And there's been a time where we even had an event. I think because of this after Christmas, that event was getting a lot of the environmental boundaries, like it's too load of work. And I have to do every insurance, insurance, go for printing, change that in the mountain, do that and like it was a whole lot, right? And it was at that point, I'm like, okay, like I thought I had to figure out why my everything to happen on it. But I'm not saying that it is not work, but I'm saying you need to understand that people are going to say you need to understand that there's a time where you need to look away from your lack of faith and need to actually have conversation, physical conversation with people, go places, people just hang out, just see the people, do the that thing, not the family room every time. Breathe fresh air, see things aside the wall of your house, and that way it helps you see benefits and invest. And unfortunately, this is not a conversation that are not really emphasizing, right? Conversations on money, on getting better, getting more skills, getting more jobs, which is fine because yes, if they are good in of themselves, but this also is critically important um, conversation that learners need to have. So I'm going to ask the last question. Before I ask you, we don't have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody? Okay. So this is going to ask the last question. And so my final question. So from all that we said and the importance of for everything about social life, because jealous of social life, they are enemies, they are cataracts. So what would be your final word for those on this call and those that will listen to this call because it's going recorded. Those that will listen to it after, what's the final word on the place of a social life in the life of a human being, especially in the guys?
Okay, so my final word is it's simple, right? If you want to build a good social life, you read not just a social life, right? You don't have to be like the life of the party every time, but if you want to build a good work-life balance, it's best to prioritize what's more important to you, right? Well, I know our jobs we need the money, right? And that's why we are putting so much out. But what's more important to you? What's your priority? You need to learn the habit of time management, which is a thing that a lot of people are still struggling with. Time management. How do you manage your time, right? How do you dedicate time for work, time for family? I know many of us are not married, so we have that luxury of time, like we think. But the truth is, it's not going to be there all the time. So the question is, when that time comes, how do you now? It will be hard to now pull out because now you're stuck inside. So you need to create that habit. It's a habit. You have to learn it, right? It's tempting. Trust me. It's tempting when you have something to do and you just feel like, you know what, let me take a break. So there's an app I used to use. I think it's Promodo, right? It's a type of way to walk. So you can set a particular hour that you're going to walk, set it on your system. Once it gets to that time, it just start beeping. Just know that okay, you're stopping, right? Then give yourself a break, come back to it. Now, many creatives now are shouting backache, eye strain. It's going to be more in the next coming years. Honestly, it's going to be more. And this is not because we are born with it. If you like, buy the most expensive ergonomic chair, it will not help you. I've always said this thing. You see backache, buy the most expensive ergonomic chair in this life. It will not solve your backache. And that's the truth. And the reason why people have backache is two reasons. Why? One, they sit for long. So whether you're using the best of chair, if you sit for long, it's going to happen to you. All right. Another reason is some of them have slouched back like me. I'm very tall, so like I'm tall to the point where I bend even when I stand. So that's even a problem, and that doesn't even allow me to sit for long. So find where find your priority, find the things that matter to you most. Create a hobby for yourself. Like don't just be that tech person that is always on screen. Create a hobby. What are your hobbies? Is it traveling? Find the time, save up the money. I mean, if you are working around the clock, you should have saved enough to travel if you want to travel. Even if you're not traveling to anywhere, just pay transport, go somewhere, come back. If you're somebody that loves nature, just go outside, see nature, enjoy it, come back. Find a hobby for yourself. Finding a hobby is not just like I've gone to tech events where they're like introduce yourself and you discover people don't even talk about their hobbies. And then you ask, what's your hobby? Say, my hobby is watching YouTube tutorial on how to do this. Come on, get off it. Hobbies are meant to be something fun, something you just do for fun, not something you do out of necessity. So I can tell you my hobby is snapping plants. It doesn't make sense. That's the idea of hobby. I can tell you my hobby is driving. It doesn't make sense, but that's the idea. I could just take car and drive for a distance just to clear my head. And that's it. Hobbies are meant to clear your head sometimes. So don't tell me your hobby is designing beautiful screen. No, it doesn't work like that. So find a hobby that really, really works for you, something that makes you happy. If it's swimming, oh nice. If it's going outside to play with children, rolling tires, if that is your hobby, do it with joy. Trust me, you become more productive in that, right? So yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Find a hobby, find a priority, and find a community. Very important. Find a community. I think I'll add more one. Find a community. When I mean community around your area. It doesn't have to be a design community. It could be K guides community. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to say go and join K guides, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just joking. But you get my point. It could be this Umuna community where they share gadere and granite. Join it, chop granite, chop gadere, drink pepper soup, chop yam. Whatever you can find, a community that helps you to just, be you outside that makes you happy. Just, of course, you can't join court now. Court no will make you happy, Find that community and join. And lastly, pay attention to your health. Now, this is as important as anything. Now, I know they say health is wealth, and that's the truth. Too. When they say health is wealth, they're not saying if you're healthy, you're wealthy. What they are saying is, as far as you're healthy, you can be wealthy. The moment your health is compromised, all the wealth you built has gone. It has gone. What I would advise anyone who is a creative is get an HMO. I don't know, I can't talk much about that, but try to look for a cheapest HMO. Put yourself in it. So in times of emergency, you won't have to spend so much. So invest in your health, find a community, get a hobby, and prioritize. That's my last post for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know how to show how grateful I am. So, from the last point, you said, so he said, find a community, like a physical one around your locale, where you meet people and do things that the community does. He talked about prioritize. So, find out the things that are most important for you to do in a day, right? And do those. So prioritize. Know the things that are important to you. And on the list of, so this, when you're preparing your to-do list, please, design is not the only thing that should be your to-do list. Work on this screen, talk to this client. You can write NAP in your to-do list, right? You can write NAP in your to-do list. You can write maybe talking to a friend or chatting with a friend or video calling a friend, your to-do list. So your to-do list is the things that you will do for the day, not just things that you do at your work, right? So find a community, prioritize, take care of their health, right? So I bought an ergonomic chair in the whole wake of the whole backache thingy, and I can tell you for what, ergonomic chair does not take away backache, but what it does is, now, okay, the ergonomic chair does not do anything for you per se. You have to work with it. Let me say it that way. You have to work with the chair. And what I'm working with the chair is, if you don't stand up at all, if you sit at that chair a long time, it's really not going to help your backache, right? But sitting on the chair, it gives you this correctional posture, right? There's something they call your lumbar back. Like there's a pillow in the chair that pushes your lumbar back, kind of put your spine in the right posture. But that does not mean you sit there 2/4/7. You still have time to stand up, walk about, and that links to taking care of your health, right? For HMOs, I know there's an HMO as cheap as 5K a month, right? But I'm not really not sure. I'm not sure because I think it was a couple of months ago I was going through some HMOs. I think it was last year, going through some HMOs and all that stuff for myself and my family. So basically, you've heard all of these things, and let me tell you, even though conversations like this are not emphasized, you need to realize that this thing can negatively impact your creativity. It is somebody who is well and sane that's the person that can create good designs. Imagine you're on the hospital bed and you have syringes, drips in your body. At that point in time, you really cannot think clearly because your priority at that time is to get well. So, whether this conversation is emphasized publicly or not, you need to know that having a social life is important. It is important to yourself and to your creativity. Meeting people, hanging out, just finding time to detach from work. So that's the reason we target work hard, play hard, right? As much as you work hard to achieve your dreams. Part of achieving your dreams is also playing hard. But the time might not be 50-50. It might be 70-30, it might be 80-20. But depending on the stage you are in life, there is a need to have a social life. So on this note, I'm going to say thank you to Noel. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight.